We need to talk about our experience at the dog park today. Why do I keep finding myself saying that line in these series? Without intervention, this could get out of control very easily. This is Chop. He is a homeless, wild Alaskan dog, and it's my job to train him and our job to find him a home. But it won't be without plenty of challenges. This is reality dog training. Subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an episode. Good morning. As you might imagine, I'm about to let him out. It is bright and early here in Anchorage, Alaska. His overnight manners or demeanor is so good. And I think that is in part because he's a great dog. Secondly, we've been extremely consistent about giving him structure overnight, controlling his environment, but I still hope to make some progress on getting him to be a bit more adjusted inside the house. He recently just had his first potty accident in the house. For a grown-up dog, we need to get that in check for sure. One thing I can do though is to take him directly from that crate to outside, and that is something we should do when we're potty training our dogs, right? The thing about house training a dog like Chop is that you always have to be one step ahead of him. And while this might seem obvious, feeding Chop on a regular schedule, or any dog, is going to definitely help with house training. But I also know with some dogs, if you give them their meal, not all dogs will eat it instantly. One hack that I've found to make sure that dogs gobble up their meal right away is to feed them extra delicious, really good quality food. There's just nothing quite like Nom Nom. This food is actually made from restaurant quality ingredients and customized by a real veterinary nutritionist so that you're getting the best possible formula for your individual dog. They even portion the food out perfectly for your dog too in individual packets. It's literally portioned out to the individual calorie. Sometimes I can't resist taking a few of those calories for myself though. If you want to try this food, or even let your dog try it, all of you can get 50% off of a 2-week trial by going to my special link, trynom.com/Zach. I'll have a link below. Of course, our dog Inertia and Chop are still working out their relationship, so I do want to give them a chance to have a little bit of social time first thing in the morning and see how they do. And by getting Chop to play and have some fun first thing in the morning, I really think this will prime him for his overall training throughout the day. Easy, buddy. Don't be too rough. She's small. Hey, too bitey. Easy. She's taking it though. I mean, my concern with Chop is he's bigger than he realizes. As we've been bringing in foster dogs throughout Inertia's life, it's been giving her so many great experiences with different types of dogs. Inertia's becoming a different dog because of George and because of Chop and all of these dogs that she's having great experiences with. And it's so rewarding to see her gain this much confidence. Anybody who adopts Chop is definitely, absolutely, 100% going to have to vacuum all of the time. As you might know, dogs get thrown off and scared a whole bunch by the household vacuum cleaner. And it's something that I like to be very purposeful with new dogs, especially a dog like him who has such little experience being inside of a house like this. He almost certainly has never seen a vacuum cleaner like this and has no idea what it is. So I want to be very methodical. In other words, I don't want to wait for him to freak out over a vacuum cleaner and start barking and scratching at it to then try to fix that. I want to be preemptive, knowing that this could very well cause him a good amount of stress if he doesn't understand what it is. So the first thing I want to do is just let him investigate the vacuum if he wants to. I'm gonna give him a treat really near it just to make sure he's comfortable. Let him smell it. Yes! Love how he's reacting. You see how I haven't even turned it on yet? I love doing this kind of training with dogs because it's a really good example of how you can take a bunch of small steps to make pretty dramatic progress in a short period of time. I'm gonna let him know that it moves like this, it goes back and forth. In other words, I wanna be really sensitive to all of the things that might cause him to be nervous by it. And now for the moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Good man. I meant to just start it one time, but I accidentally started it twice. See how I didn't just turn it on and wait for him to start reacting? I wanted to catch him succeeding. I've had it on a total of 2 seconds and it's already like filled up with hair. But you can see how he's intrigued by it. Look at that, moving it a little bit. Good man. So far, really great reaction. And by the way, if your dog was already super scared of the vacuum, these are the steps you would do. You would do the same thing, but you might have to do it with your dog farther away or even behind a closed door at first. And maybe you have someone help you along with it by treating them on the other side of the door. Good man. Yes. Let me see if I can treat him while the vacuum is on. Here. Yes. He's a little like flinchy. Let's go ahead and turn that off. I like to go at a dog's pace when I'm doing things like this. You can see here that Chop is free to walk away at any time. And if he did that or anything else to indicate that he was feeling a little bit more anxious, I want to notice things like that right away so that I can slow things down and keep him feeling comfortable. This is really embarrassing, Bree. Look how much hair is just on this rug so far. And notice I'm not like going right at him at all. I'll let him check it out. Yes. Here. Good. So I'm also showing him how to behave in the presence of the vacuum. In other words, when he starts to approach it, I'm trying to get him over here instead. By the way, this is the Hoover High Performance Swivel XL Pet Edition. Yeah. Talk about high performance. That is so much hair.
Yeah, you did that. Are you proud of yourself?
Thank goodness we live in an age, though, where you can have a hairy dog like this and fix the problem. So that's cool.
Yeah.
At least it's easy to empty, though. I'm gonna have more information about this Hoover in the description of this video and where you can get one. My objective today is to teach Chop how to stay for a period of time and with some distance. And I'm gonna introduce those separately. We're kind of late in the game to be working on a basic stay. I did work with him on stay at doorways. He did really well with that, but he has not generalized what stay means in a variety of contexts and settings. I don't know about you guys, but I get really weak-kneed in places like this. This is so high up, and it's pretty much a straight cliff down there, so I really will need to be careful about not letting Chop go over the cliff. The other benefit to training out here is that it's pretty secluded and there aren't very many distractions. For some dogs, simply being outside would be a huge distraction to them. For him, not so much. He doesn't find this type of environment to be overwhelming. Remember, he's spent his entire life outside, so outside isn't that distracting to him. It's only reasonable to allow Chop and myself and maybe even you guys a second here to take in these surroundings because, wow, just look at this place. Oh, you want to play with the ball, don't you? I suspect he wants the ball, but I feel like he's pretty adjusted here. I mean, he's still a little distracted. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to start with a stand stay right now because he's really comfortable in a stand. Let's start off with some warm-up exercises. Chop, here. Yes. He'll get better with those catches over time. Here. Right now, I'm just simply making sure that I get his attention on me. And so now I just want to go for a 1 second stay. Here. Yes. I don't really mind the backing up so much. The fact is he's focused on me. He's not running off. We can fine tune the stay later. Let's teach him what the word stay means. Stay. Yes. Good boy. One of the reasons this is a great place to train is that it's pretty secluded and there actually aren't many distractions like cars or pedestrians or other dogs. Even the local wildlife mostly stays down the mountain a bit. So finding low traffic areas like this is going to be a key part of me training Chop before we test him in more tempting locations. Now let's teach him what the hand signal means. Yes. I mean, right there, I just caught him staying. I don't know that he was intentionally doing anything. So while I'm training Chop to stay, it really is about catching him succeeding. Even if he can only stay for a microsecond at first, that's okay with me because that's a success. And my attitude is, if I have to work up to 4 microseconds over the next 4 months, so be it. Don't worry though, it won't take that long. Here, stay. Yes, that was a really long one. Really good eye contact there. So I'm thrilled with that. Let's move on to teaching him how to stay while I walk away. This is gonna be harder. Stay. See how he wants to close the distance between us? It's understandable for dogs to be confused by this concept at first. Most dogs really love to follow us everywhere, so it makes sense. Yes. He's starting to walk forward. He corrected himself a bit there, so I'll take that. He's trying. Look at me. Yes. That time I wanted to make it easier. I just took a step, a foot back. Let go. Here. Yes. Good. So notice the distance at first, it's pretty insignificant. I'm just moving inches away from him. That's how we can focus on setting our dogs up for success. And then if we slowly build on that, before you know it, you're at 6, 10, 20 or more feet. Here, stay. Yes. Good. Really good example right there. Okay, hand signal now. Yes. Okay. Way to not flinch, Bree. Thumbs up for Bree. That was pretty slick from my perspective. Back up, good. Stay. Yes. Okay, he's really good on that okay, isn't he? He seems to really understand that. So we've done stay for a period of time. We've done stay with a little bit of distance. I feel like he's understanding the concept of stay somewhat. I need to practice this a lot. But if you take nothing else from this, keep it easy for your dog and they'll learn fast. Chop and Inertia are really getting to know each other very well here, and they're getting much more confident about playing together everywhere, including my living room. But just because dogs play well a handful of times doesn't mean that you're completely out of the woods and they're gonna get along forever and everything is perfect. So I'm gonna continue to supervise them thoroughly and make sure that I step in before play accelerates to a point where it could potentially cause a conflict between the two dogs. Or at least I'll do my best. And this is a great example of what I'm talking about here. Inertia is just a little startled by falling here. And I think she probably needs a break right here to recover emotionally from being frightened. So I'm gonna step in and make sure that Chop gives Inertia the space she requires. This is the kind of incident that can escalate with some dogs if you're not paying attention and you're not right there to intervene. And so by giving these dogs lots of opportunities to interact with each other in short periods of time, allowing them to take a break and then resume playing, I'm hopeful this will be successful. A little while later, Bree was out with the dogs and she caught something on camera that she thought I needed to see.
It looked to me like he got protective of a toy.
Hey, Inertia, come.
So I showed it to Zach. What did you think?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. He was protective.
But it seems like playful selfishness. At first I was really nervous because he's so big and, you know, I just don't want to take any chances. But every time he does it, he like pounces on the toy and then Inertia goes to another and then he'll pounce on that one. Seems more bratty, right?
Yes. Hey. That seems more bratty.
Hey, brat.
I'm not too concerned about it because, I mean, I've seen a lot of this stuff before. It's really how dogs communicate with each other. And if you can get in there and build some communication with them so you can be like, you can do this, but you can't do that, then I think we'll be okay. But you never know. I mean, sometimes those are signs that there are other issues that could escalate, and that's the last thing we want. So I'm hoping it's going to be a textbook case of resolving resource guarding.
It's not a funny topic, but I was smiling while you were saying that because I was thinking about how Chop, now that I've gotten to know him, intimidates me so much less than Pancake.
Whoa, dude, chill.
Or Tiberius.
You can't do that. What are you doing?
And they are two of the cutest dogs on this earth, and yet I was way more scared of them than I am of this guy. But you're right, I still want to be careful.
How did you get that? Our garbage goes under the counter, and I guess it wasn't closed all the way.
He's a smart guy. I watched him try to open it yesterday, and he wasn't just like randomly digging at the cabinet. Like he went for the handle where we grab it, and like gently tried to figure out leverage. You stinker.
I'm gonna have to develop a strategy as to how to handle that. My plan for the immediate future is to just do a good job of managing resources like toys or bones, things like that, when he and Inertia are together. I'm gonna be very vigilant in my supervision and otherwise.
Yes.
I think it's time that we go practice around other dogs to see if we can make progress on his conduct. You might remember not too long ago when I took Chop out in public, we definitely had some issues. He was crazy every time he saw a dog. I'm hoping to get some energy out of him because I still want to go practice in a more distracting environment than this, but I want to set him up for success. So trying to give him some good exercise before that. I was thinking about how important just having your dog's attention is and how that's probably 90+% of dog training. And when you teach them obedience or tricks or just how to generally listen to you, it's kind of a measure of how well you're able to hold their attention. Chop, come on, let's go. Come on, there we go. Good. Nice and timely there. Thank you for almost listening. Come on, let's go, buddy. Something I like to do is get into a big field like this, throw the lead on them, just kind of walk aimlessly, let them smell, wander a little bit, get that fixation out, desensitize them to the world. Be fair to him, let him explore on his terms a little bit. You have to meet them halfway and let them do what they love doing too. It's such a wet day, look at that. And when you're training a dog, you have to get out in conditions like this. Just because it's a little wet outside doesn't mean you don't train. So having the right gear is important. These shoes have been incredible. They're completely waterproof, which is insane. That foot is completely dry. All right, there you go. See that? There's hair on them and they're a little dirty, but they're not wet. And look at this. Slip right back on, it's the best. Vessies seem to have invented magic shoes. There are now 2 mysteries I have on Earth. Number 1, how do eels procreate? Secondly, how do Vessies keep your feet dry? I'll have a link and discount code in the description where you can go and get your pair of Vessies. We need to talk about our experience at the dog park today. Why do I keep finding myself saying that line in these series? I really thought I had built enough communication with him going into that training lesson. I thought I would have better results than I did. The thing is, sometimes my job is just downright hard. It really is. Sometimes it's hard to get a dog not to bark and lunge at a dog when they're excited by a dog. Today, we're gonna go train around lots of different dogs. The catch is, Chop won't be engaging or playing with any of them. We're going out to a dog park, but we're gonna stay outside of the dog park. My goal will be to see if I can somehow get his attention on me when there are dogs close by. I mean, when he sees dogs, he is like, I've got to get to them, jeez. And right away, we have an adorable dog coming up to check us out. Here. Yeah, very distracted, as you can see. That's okay, I'm just gonna let him observe these dogs for a little while before I try to train him. And like with many dogs, Chop is so stimulated in this new place that he's not interested in treats and he's not interested in toys. The plan is for this to change as we give him more experiences in places like this over time. Okay, he was doing all right at this distance for a little bit, but now he's had enough of just looking at these dogs, and it seems like he really just wants to play with them. So right now, he's just frustrated here, and he just wants to play. That's exactly the issue. If he's out taking a walk with somebody, and they encounter a dog, we can't have him think, oh, when I see dogs, I get to run up to them and play with them. I'm going to increase our distance from these dogs, the thing that he's finding very enticing and exciting, since Chop seems to be a little over threshold here. Remember, that's where he's too excited to pay attention to me because he's so interested in his surroundings. Chop, there are so many people watching this right now. Can you just please pay attention to me? There can be a certain level of anxiety when your dog is causing a scene in public.
People that have reactive dogs, I mean, I feel like they have to know what you're talking about.
Definitely, yes, I have.
I know what you're talking about.
I have a reactive dog. I mean, you know, I've had to work through that.
For me, when Indy was younger, she was very reactive to other dogs out in public, and I always felt so alone. But I think it's just because you spend all your time running away from everyone else that you see. So like, even if there is someone who understands your plight, you're busy trying to get 2 blocks away from them because your dog's gonna bark at them. So it's a lonely endeavor sometimes to train a reactive dog, I feel like.
Especially in the beginning part of it.
Yeah, but not for you because you have a lot of friends watching you, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's delightful. So now we're backed up all the way to the woods here. We can't get much farther away than this, and Chop is still reacting. In my experience, creating distance from these other dogs, plus giving Chop time to observe them, should equal Chop being able to summon a little bit more self-control. Clearly, we have a little ways to go though. This is a really important point here. I don't need to scold Chop for this behavior. And that's for a number of different reasons. For one thing, he's not open-minded to learning complex skills like ignoring other dogs when he's overwhelmed like this. Also, even though I'm not scolding him, there is still a consequence in his mind, or hopefully, for this outburst. He is being taken farther away from the thing that he's interested in right now. Ideally, I'm trying to compensate for the error that I made here by trying to find the ideal distance where Chop is able to pay attention to me. So we've moved over here. We're very far away. This has quickly evolved into a screensaver training session here. My hope was that I would be able to be, 10 or 20 yards away from the dogs, and I'd be able to focus on getting his attention on me and doing some leash training. But he was way over threshold pretty instantaneously when I was giving him that initial exposure to those dogs behind the fence. But let's keep things in context. This is literally his second time in a park-like setting where there are dogs. You remember last time? We made a lot of progress. We sat there for a good while, close to 3 hours if I'm not mistaken, to let him take it in. And then intermittently, he would be responsive. Right now I can live with this behavior because you see how he's not just fixating on the dogs. He's looking at the traffic over here, sitting down, leaning on me more, suggesting that he's semi-relaxed. Getting him calmed down is going to hopefully set us up here. But this is a sign that he's adapting and he's not too over threshold right now. But if you think back to a few minutes ago when he was inconsolable, impossible to communicate with, I can understand why so many people would be discouraged and say their dog is stubborn or my dog will not pay attention to me around other dogs. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the cure is a little bit of patience and being flexible on your game plan. Now, the catch is you have to do this over a prolonged period of time with most dogs. The steps aren't particularly complicated. It's just letting your dog observe things and let those things become normal to them. I mean, if you spend enough time around something, it all becomes normal. That's probably the missing ingredient, I think, that most people are lacking when it comes to resolving issues like this. I talk about that in both of my books, by the way, links below. Ah, look at this. There we go. A nice natural settle. Did you see that? So he finally, a sign that he's calming down, which is good. There we go. That's it. First ball grab of the training session. So that's a sign that things are getting a little more normalized. You might wonder whether trying to get Chop to play with this ball is counterproductive since we're also trying to get him to stay calm around exciting things. But if he's definitely going to be excited, I'd much rather channel that excitement into something more productive, like paying attention to me and this ball. When he starts to show interest in a toy that I know he loves at home, I think that's probably an indicator that he's starting to adjust to the excitement around him. In my mind, I was like, man, what are we gonna do today? I don't think he's going to pay attention at all. Because I couldn't get his attention on me. I couldn't get him interested in his favorite toy. He wasn't taking treats. All he wanted to do was focus on those dogs. We come over here, we chill out for a little bit, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And he's kind of relaxed a little enough to get back into kind of our normal way of training. Now that Chop is doing a little bit better, I want to test again and see if we can get a little bit closer to those dogs. Chop, over here. Let's go back. See, that little vocalization tells me, all right, I need to get back here because that's likely to just continue to get worse and worse, and then I've taken a step back. So maybe I'll hang out right here. We're still quite far away from the other dogs. And I think that we're right on the cusp, right on that borderline. So I'm hopeful that he'll calm down and observe them. Loose leash, not lunging towards them. That's what I'm was choosing to call a success. But I guess you could make a case that I probably need to go farther back, but my gut's telling me we'll probably be okay here if we just give it a few. Things like that automatic sit, lying down, patiently and politely observing. It's exactly the kind of body language that I'm looking for out of him. This is the formula, no shortcuts, folks. I'm gonna walk around a little bit just in this area, seeing how compliant he is now. My hypothesis is supported here that we're right at the line, because when we walk towards the dogs, look how uninterested he is. Come here, yeah, good man. That's it. So I'm loving that I can get him to go away from the direction of the other dogs. Good man. Do you want this? Yes. Ah, how about that? It may not look like much, but we were walking towards the dogs and he was receptive to taking the reward. If he's receptive to taking the reward, then the idea is that I can motivate him to behave a certain way if he's willing to find enjoyment in that reward. All right, Chop is now starting to like the ball again. It's normal for dogs' moods and desires to shift throughout a training session, so really aiming to be in sync with them is a goal of ours when we're training a dog. And look how much closer to the other dogs we are now. I'm telling you, time, a little bit of patience can be a dog trainer's best friend. Sit? Yes. I'm trying to heavily reinforce that sit because he's really struggled with it. Today, we're getting good sits. Getting Chop to pay attention to me and look up to me for direction is something that I want him doing regularly and often in all environments. So this might be a good opportunity to practice around these guys. This is a major level up in difficulty for Chop. See if we can get back to normal training where he's focused on my eyes instead of the ball. Remember at home, yes, he does that really well. And right now he's doing it really well. So we're seeing quite a turnaround at the moment. Here. Good, yes. I'm rewarding intermittently, trying to get several steps in, and then seal in that good behavior by giving him a reward. Something he values. Yes. Choosing to reward that sit 95+% of the time right now. Yeah, buddy, good job. And so really the reward here is continued access to observing the dogs here. He's behaving politely. He can look at the dogs when he's not. We're gonna continue to get him farther away. Good man, here. Good recovery. Chop, sit. Good man. As a reminder, you'll notice I'm saying good to let him know he's on the right track, and I'm saying yes to let him know when he's earned a reward. I would love to be able to get his eyes on me and walk away. Come on. Doesn't take much to make me happy. That's what I've been working for this entire afternoon. Look at me with dogs nearby and let's walk away without me having to escort him away, you know? Sometimes you have days where your dog just is learning so fast and making so much progress, and you have other days that don't go so well. And you have days like this where you get some success, but you really have to earn it. But he's still pulling on the leash. I'm not gonna hold him to the bar of perfection right now. There's so much give and take. Choose to be happy with small bits of success, especially in the beginning. You guys know that saying, it gets worse before it gets better? Well, I'm not saying that that's accurate to this series, but I'm not saying it's not accurate either. This is Reality Dog Training. Subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an episode. Get 50% off a 2-week trial of Nom Nom. The Hoover High Performance Swivel XL Pet can be yours for 20% off. And get $25 off a pair of amazing Vessies. What more could you need in life? I'll have my special links and discount codes in the description of this video. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram and get both of my books too. I'll have the links below. See you in the next episode.